Hello, this is Patrick from OneCNC West, and in this video we're going to take a look at the common tools used within OneCNC. For example, how about display tools? How do we zoom in and zoom out? Well, to do that, simply just take the wheel on the mouse and just roll the wheel backwards and forwards. That's an easy way to zoom in and zoom out. If you want to rotate your view, you can also use the mouse wheel. Just press down on the mouse wheel, and while holding it down, move your mouse and you can easily rotate. Okay, so all I'm doing is I'm pressing down on the mouse wheel, and while I'm holding it down, I can rotate. Note too that when I press down on the mouse wheel, the cursor changes to a rotational cursor. You can also use the mouse wheel to pan your drawings. Let me show you how to do that. Hold the Control key down on the keyboard, press down on the mouse wheel, and then move your mouse. That will allow you to pan left and right and up and down. So again, all I'm doing is I'm holding down the Control key, holding down the mouse wheel, and then I'm moving the mouse around. Alright, let's take a look now at different views that you have. If we come down here, we can select View. Here's our View dialog box, and we can easily select different views. How about a diametric view? How about a front view? And let's switch to a top view. Alright, now you can also access that View dialog box by hitting the space bar. So I hit the space bar, I get the exact same dialog box. Let's go with how about a trimetric view? Now, let's take a look at these two views. There's a CAD view and a plane view. The CAD view is really interesting in that it's simply a two-dimensional view. When you go into CAD view, you're only going to be working with two axes. Okay? And in our example, we'd only be working with X and Y. Let me give you an example of that. I'm going to switch over to CAD view, and you can tell we're in CAD view because the background is white and we no longer have a construction plane marker. The construction plane marker is this big green square that you see here, and we'll talk more about that in a second. But let's go back to a CAD view. And now, as I'm drawing, everything's going to be in X and Y. There's going to be no Z component. Let me give you a quick demonstration of that. If I come over here to Point and select Coordinate Input, notice how there's only X and Y here. Okay, I'm going to cancel that. Now I'm going to rotate my view just a little bit. Now we're in a 3D view. Now if I go to Coordinate, I have X, Y, and Z. This same type of thinking or technology is applied to all your commands. As if you're in a 3D view, you'll have access to X, Y, and Z for all your commands. But if you're in a CAD view, you're just going to have access to X and Y. Alright, excellent. Let's take a look now at selection tools. This is how you select geometry, and these tools are located up here. I'll also show you some shortcuts as well. I think I'm going to start by just sketching a few points. In other words, I don't care where these points are. I'm going to change my color to orange and create a couple of orange points. And why don't we also select green, and I'll just sketch some green points. Okay, I'm finished, so I'm going to hit the Escape key on the keyboard. Alright, now if I want to select points, I can use these tools up here. For example, the first one is Single Selection. If I choose that option, I now can easily come in and select as many points as I want. Just take your cursor, hover over the geometry, and then click with the left mouse button, and then you can easily select those. If you want to deselect, just take your cursor, hover over, and click again, and that will unselect or deselect the geometry. Okay? So that's using the Single Selection tool. If you want to deselect or unselect all of these, just choose the last button over here called Deselect All, and that will unselect everything. Okay? Now a shortcut, if you want to get to the Single Selection command, you can just hit the letter S on your keyboard like Select, and that also puts you in Single Selection mode. So you can come in and select geometry one at a time. Let me show you just a couple other options up here. Chain Select we'll look at in just a second, but let's take a look at Region Select. Region Select allows you to drag a marquee around your geometry. So all I'm doing is I'm taking my left mouse button, I'm dragging, and then left clicking. Every piece of geometry that lies inside of the region or marquee will be selected. Also, any piece of geometry that the marquee crosses over will be selected as well. Let me demonstrate that. I'm going to click the New button, and I'm going to go back in, and we'll sketch a couple of points again. Let's go back home here. Let's sketch a couple of lines. I'll make that line horizontal, that line vertical. Let's make a line through an angle. Okay, so we've got points and lines there. I'm going to use the marquee select, and I'm going to drag a window just like this. Now notice that the window is crossing over some of those lines. Those lines will be selected as well. But you can see this point up here has not been selected because it was not inside the window or the window didn't cross over it. Okay? So we're going to deselect that. Let's go back to our first drawing that we had with all those different colored points. I'm going to deselect all those. Another way you can select geometry is selecting by color. So if I come up here and choose this button, select by color, this gives me every single color that I've used. And for example, if I want to select my orange points and my green points, I can just left click, and then click OK. Now my orange and green points have been selected. Kind of hard to see that my orange points have been selected because they turned red, and on my screen it's kind of hard to see the difference there, but these have definitely been selected. So this is your select by color. Very, very powerful tool. Haven't seen that in any other CAM system, and I use that all the time. So I'm going to deselect those. Another technique is to select geometry by a layer. That's probably a little bit too deep for right now. Right now there's just one layer on the screen. You can see we just have this layer called layer 1. And if I want to select all the geometry on that layer, a couple ways to do that. One would be to come up here and use this select by layer tool. And all I have to do is highlight the layer I want to use and then select by layers. And now you can see all the geometry on that layer's been